to the third work session for the Thurston County Board of County Commissioners this morning. It is Wednesday, May 19th, 2021, 10:59 a.m. My name is Ty Menser, Chair of the Board. We have Vice Chair Commissioner Gary Edwards. We expect Commissioner Mejia joining us shortly. We have County Manager Mira Chavez and Assistant County Manager Robin Campbell, as well as our Director of Community Planning and Economic Development, Joshua Cummings, and Brett Burris, who is our Building Development Manager. Did I get that right?
Development Services.
Development Services Manager. Got it. Okay, very good. The topic today is plat alterations, and we have a half hour slated. I'll let the County Manager set us up.
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner. This is an informational briefing for you. No decisions are requested for you related to this briefing. What you will hear today is some of the plat alterations when an individual who would like to alter any recorded short plats, large lots, plats, and final plats. So it's an interesting process, and Brett and Josh are going to walk us through as to what that entails.
Yep, that's a great setup. Go ahead and take it away, Brett.
May I share my screen at this time?
Please go ahead.
Thank you. Is that set up correctly?
You're in the mode where we see the slides on the left. I mean, we see it, but
You can put in that slide mode. Yeah.
Please forgive me, I hit the slide mode and this came up. Try that one more time.
That will work. Just go ahead.
yeah, it's fine. It just has the toolbars and stuff, but we can see the slide.
Thank you very much, and I'm sorry about that. So thank you very much. My name is Brett Burris, Development Service Manager with Community Planning and Economic Development, and thank you for this setup. This is a conversation and discussion regarding plat alterations. As the County Manager mentioned, a plat is essentially a division of land that has already been recorded through Thurston County processes. The request for plat alterations is what we're briefing you on here today. So plat alteration is an alteration when a person or people have an interest in altering a recorded subdivision. And it applies to any recorded division of land, as was mentioned before, short plats, large lot plats, final plats, etc.
Brett, your slide did not advance. I know you're on the next slide here.
Is it not changing?
No, it's on the title.
Gosh, dang it, I apologize.
Maybe you choose your mouse to click on the next slide.
Okay. Does that help?
Technology.
No.
I have technical support coming.
That will be Josh. The many hats the director wears, I guess. Maybe set it up in the slide mode and then share your screen.
How does that look?
The same. Okay, you move. Yeah, but you can move through the slides, so that'd be fine.
You got the slide advanced. Okay.
Again, my apologies. Thank you very much. Sounds like we might use the whole half hour now that we had technical difficulties. So again, I apologize. So just to recap on slide number 2, a plat alteration is when a person or people have interest in any altering a recorded subdivision. And that includes short plats, large lot plats, final plats. And alterations can include items and or conditions that are placed on the face of the plat. Access location, easements, property lines, so on and so forth. So the authorization that Thurston County Code provides for staff to process is in Thurston County Code 1804, which directs the public to submit an application request to the Board of County Commissioners, meaning that this is a legislative action in order to proceed. This process is also consistent with the revised codes of Washington for division of land and or altering division of land. And it authorizes the legislative body to grant an alteration of a final plat. So the process that staff has to go through is that a notice of application is sent to all property owners within the plat and or subdivision that is requested to be altered. Further, in that notice is an offer to hold a public hearing upon request. If a public hearing is requested, then the Board of County Commissioner proceeds with the public hearing. If no hearing is requested, then it's a presentation to the board by staff, which then allows us the Board of County Commissioners to make one of a few different actions. First one, they can deny the request, or they can approve the request, but in doing so, the denial approval should be determined as public use and interest of the alteration. Must follow the statutes of RCW 5817. And finally, if it is approved, signature authority by the county manager is required and re-recording the altered plat. If denial ends up being the decision by the Board of County Commissioners, then the application request is denied and we will just maintain the existing recorded plat as it is. The board also has the discretion to hold a public hearing upon their request. So once information is provided to you and a decision of denial or approval is not where the Board of County Commissioners stands, a request for a public hearing to gather additional information or hear public testimony is also an option as well. The reason why this is being brought to you today is because Thurston County Community Planning and Economic Development has received 2 requests for plat alterations. The briefing is intended to provide the Board of County Commissioners with what the authority is and what the process is in an attempt to ensure that everything is followed correctly. Did a bit of computer research in our A6 database, and the last plat alteration that was submitted was in 2016, and the one before that was in 2007. So I'm assuming that the Board of County Commissioners may have wanted an update on this process in order to proceed with the plat alterations that are coming before you in the very near future. With that being said, I am available for any questions that you have.
Okay, Commissioner Mejia is on. Any questions for Brett?
Yes, you kind of answered my question in regards to how many had been filed. So with the public hearing, I mean, how does that work? Is it something where, you know, the BoCC would set a public hearing and then people would have the time to comment, or is it something that is done in any other way?
The answer to your question is yes. The Board of County Commissioners would set a public hearing. It would have to get noticed properly and then have the ability for people to comment upon.
Hey, Brett, can you stop sharing your screen?
Of course.
Thank you.
Is that it, Commissioner Mejia?
Yeah, I'm just.
Commissioner Edwards?
Yes, sir. There's no requirement that we have a public hearing unless requested to do so. Is that right?
That is correct. If no public hearing is requested as part of the notice of application, there is no requirement for a public hearing. However, I wanted to stress to the board that they do have that discretion if they so choose.
Sure, but we don't have any other participants or residents in this particular division, is that right? This hasn't even been accomplished yet. There was a mistake made, is that it? And this is just gonna correct a minor mistake?
Well, I don't want to speak to the merits of the proposed applications at this time. That will be presented to you in the future, but it is a request from an applicant to alter an existing plat, whether that be a condition of the plat, whether that be access easements or even lot line.
So how is it that we can help?
Follow the process that I've laid out in this briefing to be able to bring it to your attention. Once it comes to you, the Board of County Commissioners determine if a decision can be made, or at your discretion, a public hearing should be provided.
So Commissioner, this is CPED's work on building the foundation. Since these don't come to you guys very often, to the board very often, we wanted to make sure that you had this kind of foundational framework on this alteration. Plats are kind of a big deal. And so when you alter them, that's why it's a legislative process with the Board of County Commissioners. And as we present them to you in the future, if you determine from some of the public input that may have been provided during that second step that Brett relayed, that we should maybe get more input, that's at your discretion. So this is foundational at this point. And then when we receive all of the public input on any of the applications that may have come through, we'll bundle that up for you, and that will start the decision-making process. But right now, as Romero said, this is informational in the process.
And these are relatively large lots, aren't they? I don't know, are both of these applications that came in relatively large lots?
They are relatively larger lots, not in the terms of number of lots per
No,
plat.
but acreage.
Yes, sir.
Have you seen these applications, Commissioner?
No.
Okay, sounds like you know something about it. I was just curious. You don't?
I did see a map that was pointed out to me, and that's how I know they're larger lots, larger properties, that's all. I'm just trying to figure out what our role is here. Apparently, there's been a mistake made, sounds like to me. It sounds like a technical issue. I hate to add a bunch of price cost onto an individual that, you know, he passes it on to the buyer, so.
So Commissioners, my recommendation is really for staff to bring in the details of those requests. So the board members, all three of you, can reach the same level of understanding of those requests. So at this point, it's way too premature to make some judgment if without having the other two board members having the rest of the information that might be coming up for your consideration.
I would just like to expedite the process so we don't hold up the process through the bureaucratic process. That's where I'm at, that's all. I don't see a big necessity unless staff says, hey, we can't do any of this. I guess we have to wait to hear from you, is that right?
Well, we're still in the process of gathering the information.
Okay.
This briefing that you're receiving today is in honor of expediting the process.
Great.
So that when those are ready to come to you, when the public input,
And I appreciate Commissioner Edwards' perspective, but at some point the board has to decide what the steps needs to be taken.
Yep.
I'd like to push it right along if I could, if there's no reason not to.
So again, the other two board members need to understand the request, and then you as a board have to decide the next steps.
Yep, I'm all for going along with the next step, whatever the step is. We can do it tomorrow if it's okay with everybody, but I suppose not. You know, we got to go through the process.
Well, it seems to be a little bit of off on this, because I think we have a member of the public here present that perhaps provided additional information to Commissioner Edwards, which unfortunately the other two members have not been privy of this information.
That's where I saw the map.
So it is important for staff to bring to the board the information that has been submitted and the board to assess the next step as a board.
Yep, we're a bureaucratic process, so we need to go through it. That's all. Let's do it.
I understood Josh to be saying that this briefing is so that we're ready to go when that information is presented. By having this pre-briefing, we're doing the additional work needed to make sure we can move as expeditiously as possible legally. I have two questions. I have questions about two different elements of the process. The first is about when it says notice of application sent to all property owners within the subdivision / plat. I guess I'm sure those are terms of art, and I'm not, I don't have the expertise to know what makes a plat. I mean, if I have 5 acres and I build a house on my property, that's not a subdivision, obviously. Is that a plat? I mean, does that count as a plat? I mean, who'd get notice in that situation for something like this? Or is this only where there's a development with lots of units? Like, what's the scope of when somebody needs to go through this process and then be notified?
Thank you very much for that question. A plat is any subdivision of land that has been recorded with the auditor's office. So if you owned a large acreage parcel, you may have been part of a large lot subdivision that subdivided 20 acres into 4 separate 5-acre lots. If you are a piece of property out on its own that is not a part of a plat that's recorded, you are not considered a plat because your property was not recorded. It was probably a land deed or something like that. In the cases of most preliminary plats and final plats, they can range from urban growth areas where the lot size is maybe 5,000 square feet to rural subdivisions, again, like the large lot subdivision. It could be 5, 10, 20 acres in size.
Okay, so it's where there's been a subdivision, and it could vary in terms of size.
Yes, sir.
But in the two situations that we're going to consider, there has been a subdivision, and we'll consider, and the people that are as part of that larger parcel would be notified under this process.
Yes, sir. The people who are affected or not affected are within that subdivision, forgive me, are the people who have been notified, because any alteration could directly affect the property owners within that subdivision.
And when we talk about offer a public hearing upon request, upon request by anyone, upon request by the people notified within the subdivision, upon request of the applicant, who's got the ability to make that request for a public hearing?
Upon request from the people residing in the subdivision or have ownership in the subdivision.
Okay. Final question. The legal standard that we're going to be applying, it says here in the bullet point, denial or approval by determining the, quote, public use and interest for the alteration. So as a legal standard, do we have to make if there's a small, let's say there's a small technical change that really doesn't affect anyone, do we have to deny that because we can't make a finding of a public use or interest? Is that a bar they have to get over, or is it just a matter of it can't sort of be a detriment to the public interest? You know what I'm saying? Versus us having to make an affirmative finding that there's a public interest in the proposed change. So
the bar is essentially at the discretion of the Board of County Commissioners. If you, being the board, decide that an alteration request does not serve the public interest, you can make that statement. If you feel that an alteration is a technical issue that doesn't affect public interest, you can make that decision as well.
And we could basically say it's in the public interest because it helps that citizen without hurting anyone else or something like that.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I got you. Those are my questions. Anything else? Ramiro, Commissioner Mejia, Commissioner Edwards?
No, I don't.
No, sir.
Okay, sounds good.
No further questions for me. Thank you.
All right, great. Is that it, Josh?
I just wanted to say thank you to the board for this pre-briefing, laying the groundwork, and thank you to Brett for thinking ahead and making sure that we had this conversation so that the process is clearly understood.
Just maybe a question for Brett. When do you expect to bring the proposals in front of the board? Just the specifics.
So Brett, maybe outline the step that we're in currently, which is determining the timeline. It's not on the staff's determinations on the timeline of the process.
Oh, that will be helpful then to give a perspective of the China with the schedule.
As it stands right now, public notice has been sent out and no one has requested public hearings for either of the two plat amendments. We are scheduled right now for Thursday, the 27th, to provide this information to you. However, this may be best served at a Tuesday agenda setting. And so we are coordinating with the Commissioner's office to see if coordination would be better served on a Tuesday.
So Brett, it could be as early as next Thursday, is that what you're saying?
Yes, sir.
Or at the board's discretion?
Okay, we can coordinate on the schedule. Thank you.
Okay, very good. Sounds like we're ready to go. Appreciate the folks for showing up for the briefing today. And thanks, Brett. Thanks, Josh.
Thank you.
We're adjourned.
Thank you.